At Royal Roads University, we like to acknowledge we are in the traditional land of the Esquimalt and the Songhees people, ancestors, and family. And it's with gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, the present, and the future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, students, faculty, and staff come together. So welcome, everyone. So as I said, my name is Andrea Torres. I'm the student recruitment manager here at Royal Roads. I'm going to be co-hosting this session with two wonderful ladies that I have the opportunity to work with. So actually, I'm going to let you, maybe Kathy, we can start with you if you would like to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Andrea. Well, heartfelt welcome to you all. I'm Kathy Bishop. I'm the program head of our MA in Leadership with an Executive Leadership specialization, as well as our graduate certificate in values-based leadership. So I'm bringing over 30 years of experience as a leadership educator across multiple sectors, and I think I'll stop at that point. Over to you, Tam.
Thanks, Kathy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tam Pozzobon, and I am the program head for the multi-sectoral intake of the leadership program. And I'm a relatively newbie to Royal Roads University from a faculty perspective. I joined last year in September, but I'm also a graduate of the program. So I know what it can do for your life and your career. It was of huge benefit to me. In mine, I did over 32 years in policing in Calgary. It was absolutely transformational for me, and is part of the reason why I sit here today. Is I want to be able to be that catalyst for other people in the organization. So welcome.
Thank you, Tam and Kathy. And I think this is a great opportunity if people feel comfortable sharing information about where you join us today. So feel free to add that in the chat box. In Victoria, we always love to talk about weather. We woke up today with a little bit of snow. That is unusual for us any time of the year, but it is very unusual in November. So please feel free to share where you join us today and what is your name and any information that you would like to share. We also have two more people that you cannot see, but they're joining us. They are Francisco and Rhonda. Francisco and Rhonda are going to be supporting us in the chat box. They are going to be helping us with some information. And actually, Rhonda is our enrollment advisor. So if you have any questions after this webinar, Rhonda or anyone from her team will be able to answer any of your questions and support you through the process of learning about what is the best program for you. So thank you, Rhonda and Francisco, for being here with us as well. So the agenda for today is get to know each other. So I see some people are sharing some information in the chat. So thank you, everyone. We have people join us from Abbotsford, Victoria, Lanford, Toronto, Vancouver, so Richmond, Edmonton. Thank you. Oh, Winnipeg. We have pretty much almost all the territories and provinces across Canada represented in this webinar. So thank you for being here today. I'm going to talk really briefly about Royal Roads University experience. And after that, Tam and Kathy are going to talk about the program specific. At the end, I'm going to talk more about the application and the admissions requirements. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type those questions in the chat box. And we will make sure that we cover all that information either through the webinar or at the end, we will go through those questions. So Royal Roads University, we were created in 1996 as with the idea that we are going to be providing something different in the higher ed. Royal Roads University characterized for being a small university where we understand that getting to know each other is something that we are very proud and we know is important to build relations. Our programs are designed in a way that you are going to be able to keep working at the same time as you complete the programs at Royal Roads University. For us, it's as important to create a learning community on campus as we do virtually. And we are going to talk a more little detail how that looks like into our leadership programs. For those people that maybe are in Victoria, or maybe if you are even thinking to visit Victoria, please let us know. We always love visitors. And if you are in Victoria, either for visiting or if you are taking the program, we always encourage people to use the space that the university has to offer to learn. So how we learn through the space that we are. So we are very lucky at Royal Roads. We have the ocean, we have some little rivers going through or creek going through campus, the forest. So there is very special places for you to connect with the land as we learn and grow together. So with that said, I wanted to pass over to Kathy and Tam to talk more about the program specifically.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Andrea. I will begin, and Tam and I will sort of sub in and out. And it really is my pleasure to be here on this webinar to share some of the why and what and how of our MA Leadership and our MA Leadership Executive Leadership, which we call the Excel program, with Tam. So as Andrea said, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box as we go. And if everything doesn't get answered, or if you're attending virtually, please know that you can reach out to me or Tam, and we are also happy to chat with you personally afterwards. So I'm going to move to the next slide, which is why study leadership? What a great question. And I invite you to start with your own why. Why are you thinking about studying leadership? So feel free to jot down your reasons in the chat box, because it's always great to see what can bring us together. Because there really are a range of reasons to enhance your leadership character and capabilities, to be able to influence and mobilize with others for some type of positive change, to be able to go the distance with clarity and grit. And for me, I wish I knew when I was an executive director of 2 different organizations, one serving at-risk youth, the other my local Chamber of Commerce. I wish I knew then what I know now. For me, it's really about being a force for good and recognizing the myth of genius without learning. The myth of genius without learning is that erroneous notion that genius did not need study, exposure to the work of others, or craftsmanship. It does. So leaders need to foster their practical wisdom to be able to develop self, teams, organizations, and communities, to address critical issues of the day and trends of the future across disciplines and contexts, so that we can enable innovative, collaborative, and emergent social change. And this does not happen in isolation, but with others. So this is what we offer in our MA Leadership Applied Leadership programs. But before we go there, I would like to share 4 underlying principles that we adhere to. So 1, we believe that leadership is engagement. And for some reason, let's see, will it show? Yay, I'll throw them all in there at the same time. Leadership is engagement. In our cohort learning model, we provide ways for deeper connections between learners, have a team teaching model with faculty, and expect for our capstone projects that learners engage with a partner and/or feedback partners and co-create action-oriented inquiries. As far as learning as transformation goes, this is about moving beyond the banking concept of education, which Paulo Freire coined. And that's where students are viewed as empty accounts to be filled up by the teacher. So like going to a bank, a teacher makes deposits into students. So education is not about merely gaining facts or securing a toolkit, but consciousness raising for transformation. And transformational learning occurs through critical thinking, taking on different perspectives, and engaging in experiential action. So transformative learning is not only the cognitive or what we think, but it's really aligned with an Indigenous worldview that's effective, embodied, and relational. And we ask leaders to show up, lean in, and seek different ways of knowing, doing, being, and relating. And for engaged scholarship, leadership is applied, so it's about considering both theory and practice and how you can raise the bar with both. It's about supporting your position and actions with evidence-based knowledge, literature, and recognizing the collective wisdom of others. For orientation to possibility, we recognize that leadership is tough, that times can be challenging, and we seek possibility in the challenges. So as leaders, it's really important for us to leave our people with hope. And here in the School of Leadership Studies, we're committed to your growth and success as a leader and learner. And everyone in this program, ultimately on some level, is here to make a difference in the world. All right, so let's shift from principles to the program. Now, stepping up to address a variety of leadership needs, we have a suite of programs in our School of Leadership Studies. And as you consider them, I invite you to hold the question forefront. Do you want more of a broad range of leadership understanding and application? Or do you want something more specialized? So in our MA in Leadership, which was established as the first program from RRU in 1996 and has creatively evolved over the years to be current and innovative, we refer to the present version of this program as the MAL, multi-sectorial, because it's designed for established and emerging leaders from all occupational sections or sectors who want to know about leadership more broadly. And we have cohorts that start in the winter and summer terms. For our MA in Leadership, the health specialization, which was originally sponsored by the health authorities in BC in the early 2000s, it has the same structure as the MA Leadership multi-sectorial, although it's for established and emerging leaders in the healthcare sector, with focused readings relevant to health and experienced healthcare faculty. It begins in the fall. Now, our MA in Leadership, the XL specialization, is a new program that we launched in 2021, and it's designed for mid to senior level organizational leaders who are looking for a deeper dive in how to leverage values to lead cultural change and sustain innovation in their organizations and be trusted organizational leaders. So this program is open to individuals who are positioning themselves as well to take senior responsibility across those sectors, as well as seeking to lead the way, focusing on the organization as a whole, as well as beyond leading self and teams. So we have experienced executive leaders who teach in the program and who delve into critical issues that are facing organizational executive leaders today. It starts in the spring. So you may wonder how to choose one program over the other. Now, all are valuable. It really depends on who you are and what you want, which is really important. Why leadership to you? And each program is different with a different focus and admission criteria. So it's worth checking out what your options are further. And so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tam to give a structural overview of the multi-sectorial health leadership program option. Over to you, Tam.
Thanks, Kath. Yes, as Kathy alluded to, the multi-sectorial and the health sort of follow the same format, the same courses, but with a different focus. And it's not that health professionals often sometimes take the multi-sectorial. It depends on what you're looking for and what you want to focus on. I took the multi-sectorial when I came through the program, and because I wanted to be exposed to different opportunities and how leadership is being done in a variety of different forms. So for me, it was wonderful to hear that some of the systemic issues that I was seeing in my organization were actually being seen in other organizations. So it wasn't a unique challenge to me. So that's why I chose multi-sectorial. But regardless of whether it is that or the health, we follow the same program. And you have these three options. When I stepped back into education, when I came into the program, I had not been in post-secondary for years, and it was kind of an intimidating proposition. Royal Roads recognizes that jumping into a master's program can be intimidating. And that's why you see three different levels here that you can start to engage with the program and make decisions from there. So at the very bottom, you'll see the graduate certificate. And this is really an introduction to the program. You would come in and participate in the first three courses of the MA, which is both online and the residency. And then barring from that, if that's it, that's all you wanted and you're satisfied, you could end with the graduate certificate. However, a lot of people dip their toe in that pond and they go, I want more of this. I really enjoyed it. I've gotten into the rhythm of what is required for academic learning, and I want more. So then you could actually go on either to a graduate diploma, which builds on the graduate certificate, and then you would need to take an additional 9 credits to make the total for 18. And you can do that from a variety of different means. You can do it by following the programs within the multi-sectorial and health program, or you could choose from others around the university. It's completely up to you. But if you decided to stay on, you could go into the master's, which would then continues on for the entire 2 years. We'll talk a little bit more about the details of that program if you know that's the choice for you. But just know that you have some options here when you're looking at the program. If jumping into a master's right out of the gate is a little intimidating or you're not sure, there are options here that would allow you to explore it.
Lovely. Thanks, Tam. And so with our Excel program, it's 2 years as well, but the structure is a bit different. It has 2 6-day residencies, and you're able to tailor your program with 9 units of electives. Your capstone is going to be an engaged leadership project and will interweave with developing your own essential executive leadership practices. And although a thesis is not out of the question, mid to senior level leaders who come to our program have an applied professional orientation. And so doing an ELP within their organization makes sense to advance their own organizational learning and leadership. The graduate certificate in values-based leadership runs concurrently with the MA in leadership, Excel, and serves as its first term. And so I did mention about 2 residencies. And so just to speak to the residency experience, our MA program, leadership programs are blended programs, which means they include both online and in-person residencies. For courses with in-person experiences, we refer to them as having residencies and pre and post residency experiences. So you can sort of see this pie shaped chart that sort of highlights that. And then in particular, as it says on the slide, you get to interact in real time with your instructors, your cohort, and your team. You'll complete assignments, team assignments, and engage in meetings outside of regular hours, making this a real intensive and rewarding time. It's not a vacation. It's an optimal learning experience, which you will have some meaningful engagement. So part of the power of this program is the people you'll meet and how you can potentially form lifelong lasting relationships. So for a more specific look at the program courses, though, I'm going to turn it back to Tam.
Thanks. Well, we both clicked on it at the same time, Kathy.
Sorry, Tam.
That's okay. So, well, this is a high-level program at a glance look at the multi-sectoral and health intake. And it starts off with the preparatory course of an introduction to academic integrity. And really, this is just a how not to plagiarize yourself, how to ensure that your academic writing is sound. It's really just an orientation to prepare you into the program. And then you would begin what we refer to as the blended 1 portion of the MA, which means you're taking 3 courses at the same time. So the courses will be integrated, the assignments cross the courses, and you'll be doing part of it. I lost the slide. Where did it go? At any rate.
It's still here with us, so it might be on your end.
It might just be me. I don't know where it went. But anyways, so you'll take the 3 courses through a blended program. And this starts as what Kathy was just explaining, where you would do a pre-residency online portion, and then you would continue on with your residency on campus for 2 weeks, and then you would finish the program by completing an online blended following that. So altogether, a 12-week course where there's 3 courses combined into the 1. Once you've completed that blended 1 portion, you step into your first distance learning. And this is the concept of theories of leadership in organizations. And this is really a step into that sort of academic writing and critical thinking and examining the current and prevalent theories of leadership, where they intersect, where you position yourself in relation to those theories. You will still be engaging with your cohort and your advisory teams that you will have established in your first portion, but it's going to be all completed online. You'll have some team activities, and there will still be a learning, you'll be in a learning community. I want to stress that although it is totally online, you're also going to be engaging with your colleagues. This isn't something that you just sort of sign on and do at your convenience. It is structured. You would have to be there for certain periods of time, and there are requirements that you would have you making posts in a timely manner so that your cohort can engage in dialogue around those posts. Once you complete your first distance program, then you would choose an elective. And depending on the path you decide to choose, whether you would prefer to be an engaged leadership project as a capstone option, or whether you would like to take the thesis route, will kind of dictate what type of elective you might want to take. If you're deciding that thesis is the way you want to go, your decision is made very easily for you because you have to take the action-oriented research, which you can see on the slide is indicated by the red asterisk there. But if not, then there's other options available to you. There's some that are listed here, but there's also other options either within the university itself or perhaps an elective outside of the university, providing it aligns with your program. Something you can discuss when you get to that portion. Following your elective is when you step into the blended 2. And this is when you would have your second residency. And this is really all about preparing you for stepping into either your engaged learning project or your thesis. And it's really about getting you prepared for putting on your researcher hat. And instead of trusting the process, you're going to start leading the process. So it's helping you design your project, find out what's important to you, how to engage in either your organization or in a group that that you're associated with, that you want to help solve an issue or address a problem or create some positive change for them. So you'll again do an online portion with your cohort and your advisory team, and then you will attend campus again. And this is really that intense opportunity to mingle with your instructors and have that on-campus experience around how to prepare for your engaged leadership project. And following that, you will again go home and complete this online through a blended online version. And then after that, depending on which option you choose, whether you want to step into the thesis route or the engaged leadership project, if you decide you want to go with the engaged leadership project, you will work with a pod of students with a supervisor. And you will work on the Moodle platform within the university as well. So it's a little structured, and you have a community of support around you that will assist you with your engaged leadership project. And this is that project where you're either working with an organization or a community around a topic that you and them are passionate about to create some positive change in that organization. Or you might choose to go the thesis route. And the thesis is a little bit more scholarly than practitioner, but it still contains the same components. You're still going to be working with an organization around a problem that they wish to solve or address to create some positive change. So both are similar, but also different. The Engaged Leadership Project, if you take that option, it's a little bit shorter time frame. It's a 6-month endeavor. And then you would take a reflective course, which is listed here as Lead 680. And that's really about taking a reflective look on your entire journey within the Masters of Arts and applying that in your learning and leadership practice. If you did the thesis, that's a little bit longer period of time. You're not required to take the 680, but you would be required to defend that thesis. And in your thesis, you work with a supervisor and a committee, a second committee member, and you will work intimately with those two to prepare your thesis and ultimately prepare yourself for a defense. So that's sort of it at a high level. I know that's a lot of information being thrown at you at once. It is over the 2-year period, and there are a couple of different options that you can consider in your year 2. Kathy?
Wonderful, Tam. Wow, like it's always so wonderful. It's just to have that big picture view and know that there's lots of juicy stuff across the 2 years. So for our Excel structure, we've designed it around 4 key elements: grounding and orientation, electives, organizational change leadership, and leading change in practice. So again, it's a blend of asynchronistic and synchronistic experience, but at the heart of it really is your cohort and the community of people. So you will not be in isolation. So with the first blended segment, this includes VBL 510 and 512, which are 2 courses, 3 credits each, and they're taken at the same time over 10 weeks. And within these courses is a 6-week in-person residency. Then the second segment consists of a third 3-credit 12-week online course with a field project. So that's VBL 514. And with the field project, you'll go out and interview values-based organizational leaders who are doing the work and learn from others in your cohort about their field projects and see what sort of the themes and what things are actually happening out in the world and how people are dealing with them. So for VBL 510, 512, and 514, these 3 make up the graduate certificate in values-based leadership, and they serve as the Excel's first residency term. So You might choose to take the graduate certificate in values-based leadership because you've already have a degree and you're just wanting to develop these skills, or you may want to see if perhaps the Excel is the right program for you. So there's many ways to sort of come in, or you might just jump right in and say, nope, I'm fully in and I'm taking these courses right off the bat. Now, you might be wondering why values-based leaders. So values-based leadership enables leaders to walk their talk on explicitly identified values, because authentic leaders are trusted leaders. And we know in our world today that there's a crisis in leadership, and our current workplace environments are calling for trusted leadership, for authenticity, for inclusivity and diversity, concern for well-being, to really have leaders address social issues like truth and reconciliation, Black Lives Matter, the Me Too movement, climate change, artificial intelligence, hybrid workplace, like so much, that the complexity of what's happening in our world and our organizations. So a unique element of our Excel program is that we support leaders to build their character and capabilities by becoming aware of their values individually and collectively, and seeking to live them intentionally and explicitly. And one of the unique things that we do is also structure our classroom as an organization. So students come together to set the organization vision, mission, purpose, values, and then work through various activities to bring it to fruition. And this really shifts leadership from only focusing on individual and team to really strategically developing an organization. So after completing the first term, you'll have a choice of electives. And with electives, you can choose single ones, 3 single ones, or you can do another certificate. We also suggest a elective stream that might be under change management, under communication conflict resolution, but we'll also offer support as you think about how you want to tailor your learning as an executive leader. And then this also offers you at the same time to receive foundational leadership learning through the grounding and orientation, as well as the organizational change, leadership, and leading change in practice components. So after you do your elective periods, you head into your second term for LEAD 625, 626, and 627. And these 3 courses are delivered together over 12 weeks with another 6-day residency. And this is where you will discern which essential executive leadership practices that you specifically want to develop, and the engaged organizational leadership project that you want to engage with. And then that leads us to leading change in practice. You will finish with leading change in practice through LEAD 640 with that engaged organizational leadership project that interweaves your own executive leadership practice development. And this really is your opportunity to test run your capabilities and foster your leadership learning within your own organization through, expert mentorship and coaching from our faculty, as well as from those partners and stakeholders that you engage with. And I just want to say, in an age of accelerating and unpredictable change, it's not possible to sustain adaptive change in organizations without changing organizational cultures. And so leaders often rise to positions. They're expected to know how to do this, but how do you do it without learning? Again, it's that myth of genius without learning. So our Excel program is an immersive program for those executive leaders who really want to promote change, transform, and lead with success in their organizations. So let's move on to how to apply. So we have our admissions people. In a moment, I'm going to turn it back over to Andrea to give some of the finer details of how to apply. However, I'd first like to just offer you some overall understanding of what we're looking at with our standard and flexible admissions. So for our standard admissions to the MA Leadership, Multisectorial Health, we require a 4-year or comparable undergraduate degree from a recognized post-secondary institution with a minimal GPA of a B+. But what you might be wondering about is that we also require a minimum of 5 years leadership experience. And so we have an expanded definition of what leadership could be. And so that definition includes formal organizational leadership roles. So that's where you directly supervise staff or complete performance-oriented work with individuals, groups, or teams. So that's one piece. Another one is leadership roles in volunteer organizations. Another one is roles that encompass consulting, negotiation, or managing diverse interest groups through relationships, again, within a complex environment. That's 3. Another leadership element that we look at are roles that lead others towards shared goals and outcomes. So how you've influenced through your role as a leader. And then there's also roles that influence, organize, and coordinate groups of people too. And then the sixth criteria that we look at potentially is overcoming a challenge. So a life experience. So whether for yourself or others, and how you were involved in navigating sort of, again, that complex system, and that it's resulted in some kind of positive, change, community change, social change beyond the individual. So lots of times I think about like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, that the woman who started that out of the horror of a drunk driver killing her child, and then moving to really starting a movement and what that looks like. So these criteria around leadership in terms of what we classify or look for in terms of leadership experience are on our website. And I also just want to recognize that emerging leaders are encouraged to apply. These are leaders who meet, again, our leadership degree requirement, but have fewer than the 5 years of leadership experience. So they're currently in or have been in recent leadership or people management roles for 2 years or more, and they demonstrate exceptional, leadership potential through their professional and life experiences. And so as a leader, if you're an emerging leader, then you're really preparing for further leadership roles. And if you otherwise meet those criteria, then we really encourage you to apply, because we do recognize that there is often a skills gap where, people are stepping and being promoted into positions and moving into different roles where their leadership is needed. Then you'll also see that we also require our students to take an academic writing course if they don't meet the GPA of the B+. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in the flexible admissions piece. I just sort of want to shift to the Excel admissions, although I'll pause there just to see if Tam wants to add anything further around the multi-sectoral or health admissions at this point.
You did an absolutely phenomenal job, Kathy, of summarizing all that information. All I would say is that for those that perhaps do not have a graduate degree at this time, don't let that hold you back. It certainly, I remember being, when I applied, I did not have an undergraduate. And I was intimidated. I didn't think that I belonged in the program, but very quickly I was made to feel incredibly comfortable and recognize that my experience in the sector and my leadership experience that I had is really incredibly valuable and is respected within the program. So, don't let that hold you back. Don't think that it's a detriment, because we set you up here for success, and there's lots of support systems here that will help you be successful in the program. So other than that, Kathy, no, thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Tam. Because we know the world needs your leadership, everybody's leadership. So yes, please don't let any of the standard admissions, because I will talk to flexible admissions, so not to hold you back. Before I go there though, let me just sort of really quickly shift into the Excel standard admission requirements. So again, we focus on executive organizational leaders and the unique challenges and responsibilities that they have needing to be developed. And so therefore we require a minimum of 5 years of leadership experience, including at least 3 years as a designated organizational leader with responsibilities to lead others in delivering a common product or outcome with explicit values. So now you might be wondering, what do we mean by explicit values? So what we're looking for are things like a service orientation, commitment to collaboration and shared visions, a recognized maturity that supports organizational leadership, fostering diversity and inclusion, and workplace well-being. And so around being a designated organization, we do require that formal organizational leadership role. So, with the standard admission for the multi-sectoral and health, I gave you sort of 6 different criteria points that we look at. For the Excel program, we really zone and zero in on to leadership roles in which you directly supervise staff or complete performance-oriented work with individuals, groups, or teams. And so you can see that there are, some of the examples that we offer around designated leadership or professional experience are, roles at a director level. That's sometimes called a manager, but there also can be a head of an organization, but someone who's looking at supporting the whole organization, and that can be including the senior management team, and that your director level is the pivot. And also people who have significant program or project management experience, engaging multi-layered or multi-level realms of stakeholders. So usually, this can be, again, those designated roles might mean different things across, say, ministries. There might be, diverse roles across the public sector that aren't necessarily identified in this way, or if you're in a business sector or health, it might be slightly different. And so again, that's why make your application and we can talk deeper in terms of what that looks like. And we're always happy to sort of connect with you deeper and give you more of some of the nuances of these programs and potentially make that connection with your own level of experience and knowledge. So then I'm going to go back then to sort of saying the flexible admissions. And this is where Tam was speaking in terms of, don't let not having an undergraduate degree stop you. We value experience at Royal Roads. This is what we call as flexible admission. And instead of the undergraduate degree, we look at experience. So applications that come in will be from people who have at least 10 years of professional experience, with 5 of those being with regards to that leadership experience. And that little star is about those sort of 6 criteria that are on the website. And this is where I was saying back where around the academic writing and critical thinking course for flexible admissions with these applicants, normally they're required to take academic writing and critical thinking and to obtain at least a B+ prior to starting our program. And so this really supports your entry into an academic setting. And what I found is, again, it's not to scare you off, it's actually because of our commitment to your success. And what I found from students who have, wondered whether that they should be taking it or even, and that's why it was sort of listed in standard admissions too, because it's actually a really good course to take to really set yourself up for success in the program. You can understand sort of a way of operating in the academy, and then when you actually come into the program, you're really ready to jump into sort of that leadership content and experiential learning. And so with the Excel program, again, we value the experience of executive leaders. Our criteria is a little bit different. We're looking at 10 years of experience, 7 years in an organization with 5 years leadership experience, 3 of that being as a designated leader. So again, I know those are kind of a bit nuanced, but again, feel free to reach out to enrollment and feel free to reach out to us. We can talk you through that. Taking the academic writing and critical thinking course is also required. And so you can sort of see that to further your own leadership education, there are different ways to enter our MA leadership programs, whether that's standard or flexible, but to actually know then how to do it and more detailed, I'm going to turn it back to Andrea for some of those specifics on how to apply.
Thank you, Kathy and Tam. So now how to apply. It's a very exciting time of the webinar. So first, you need to complete an online application. And once you complete that online application, you need to submit the following documents. The first one are official transcripts. To be official, well, before COVID, they used to come in a sealed envelope. So yes, we still have that option. But now a lot of post-secondary institutions are giving you the option for you to send an email directly to us. So sealed or official transcript, they have to be or coming directly from the email of the institution that you attended, or they come in an envelope directly to us. I know some of us or some people have been out of school for a long time, and if you're very curious to know how you did in the past, ask maybe one for you that you can open that copy, and then one that you send directly to Royal Roads. Official transcripts, we want to see any post-secondary institution, or sorry, any undergrad, if you complete a diploma and then maybe you complete a BA or a BSc program, we want to see all those official transcripts. The next document is a writing sample, and I'm just going to provide all the details about what the writing sample looks like. So for the writing sample, you have three options. The first option, if you have been in school, recently in school, maybe for the last 2 years, you can submit a sample from your academic work that includes citations and list of reference. So that would be option number one. The second option is if you don't have that writing sample on file, you can write an essay document. We're looking for a 500-word academic essay that will be addressing the question of what is my leadership philosophy. For this, we're looking for that academic background. We're looking for academic citations and some article. Oh my goodness, peer review articles, and use some example forms of some samples of your relevant life experience. And for this document, that is the option number 2, we're looking for you to choose APA 7 style during that document, during that essay. And the last option, that is the writing option number 3, is to complete the academic writing and critical thinking course that Royal Roads offers through the continuous studies. And I saw a question like, how often do you offer this program? This program, I think we offer, like, I was looking for the 2023, and I think we have 2 offerings in January, 2 in February, and maybe one is always, or most of the time, one at the beginning, first, second week of the month, and then one at the end of the month. So there are multiple options available for you. And if you are doing the academic writing course at Royal Roads, I highly recommend to look also when the program is completed, because ideally you need to complete that course before your program starts. So we can help you to navigate how that looks like, but just something to take in consideration. The next document is the personal statement. And if you have been in one of these webinars before, you might heard me saying that is one of my favorite documents when I apply to Royal Roads University, because it's about our motivation. Like, why now? Why are we planning to take this program? How this program is going to help us in our personal and professional life. We also want to know about what kind of type of leadership you have, and give us some examples of that leadership experience that you have. We also want to know more about your experience working in teams and in different sectors and industry. What strengths do you have? What are you going to be teaching and learning, like teaching to others, but also maybe what are the areas that you're looking to improve and grow? So once again, this is one of my favorite documents, because it was the time I took for myself to answer, like, is that the time and for me to complete this program? And what is my motivation? Like, what is driving me to take the next step in my career? Sorry, I always get very excited with that. The next one is a structured resume. And this is not a professional resume that you're applying for a job, because this is kind of fourth document that we are going to use to get to know you better. So in this document, we are looking to learn more about your education, so any credit or non-credit education that you have completed. We also want to know about your volunteer experience. And maybe before I go to the volunteer experience, we want to know about your career path. So your career path, we want to learn about the organization that you have worked and the time period, and also the different roles that you have hold in your career. When you are talking about every job or every job that you have, it's very important that you give us a small paragraph of what kind of responsibilities you have in that job or in that role, because that will help us to understand a little bit more about your career path and also your leadership experience. And then now we can go into any volunteer activities that you have. If you have any experience in leadership through your volunteer activities, we want to learn about those as well. And of course, any professional association that you are part of, and any other information that you think is important for us or relevant for us to know about your career path. As Kathy and Tam said, like flexible admissions and how everybody gets applying to this program, every path might look slightly different, but we want to learn about how that path is taking you to take this program. And the last document are 2 letters of reference. It can be one academic or it can be professional. I highly recommend you people, if you feel comfortable, please share your personal statement with the people that are writing those letters, so they have a better understanding of the why you're applying to this program, so they can talk about a specific project that you work together, experience, maybe a challenge that you overcame together. So once again, it's just helping us to understand your career path, and it's like a matching. We want to make sure we are the correct match for you as well. And with that said, I'm going to move to the next slide. Upcoming intakes. So the first one I wanted to talk about is the multi-sectorial programs. We have the next intake is December the 12th, and the application deadline is coming up soon. So I highly recommend that you apply before November 12th or until November 12th, and you start submitting the documents as soon as they're coming. And if you have any questions, I know we have shared a lot of details, and I just shared a lot of details about those documents. So if you have any questions, we're happy to walk you through the application process in one-on-one. The next application deadline, if you're looking for 2023, will be March 5th for enrolling in the summer, the June the 5th. And for our specialization offerings, we have for the MA leadership, executive leadership, we have April 17, 2023, and the deadline will be January 17. And for the health, we are looking for the next September 18, 2023, and the deadline will be June 18, 2023. Oh, I went a little bit too fast. And as well for our graduate diploma in leadership, our deadline will be March 5th for the intake starting in June. And for the GC graduate certificate in values-based leadership, our program starts in April 17, so we are looking for application deadline on January 17, 2023. And for the graduate certificate in leadership, our program is starting in this December. So if you're looking into applying to this program, the application deadline will be November 12, 2022. And if at Royal Roads, we have a lot of services available to you. If you're looking into more financial aid and awards, we have an amazing team that will be willing to support you through finding scholarships or the loans that are a better fit for you, depending on the program that you are looking into, either a graduate certificate, a diploma, or a master program. There might be different options available for you, as well which province you are living on. So there's different funding available. So please connect with us, and we'll be happy to provide more details. And you can go to our website, and you will find very interesting blogs, and it will help you to navigate how that can look like. If you would like to connect with Rhonda and anyone from her team, we have the enrollment services. They're wonderful people that will be willing to connect with you, help you to navigate any questions. So they're fantastic. You can reach them by email or by phone, and they're available from Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 4:30 Pacific time. And if they get an email, they will get back to you in the next day or so. And hi, this is the end of our formal presentation, but I know that we have a few questions, so I'm just going to scroll up And if you have any questions, this is a great time to post those questions as we are going to go through the chat box. So we have a question, Kathy and Tam. That question came when you were talking about different intakes. So the question is about, do the various cohorts intermingle? Like, is there an opportunity for the MA Health, maybe the multi-sectorial and the executive leadership overlap in some point of the course?
I'm happy to jump in, Tam. I see you're about to too, so why don't I pass it over to you?
Generally speaking, no, because they're coming in at different times and you're not on campus at the same time with the other intakes. So for example, health and executive leadership and multi-sectoral are going to be on campus at different times. Now, with that said, though, when you are on campus, you're on campus at the same time as the next year. So the year ahead in your program will also be on campus. And we actually encourage our second year students who have gone through the first year experience to buddy up with people in the first year. So you will have some overlap between cohorts within your intake, but you're not really going to be intermixing with across the programs themselves, just because logistically you're not connecting at the same time.
And I'll jump in to add on there a couple of things, because thank you for the question, Heather. And I also noticed you asked how many people are in a cohort. You know, in the past, typically our MA leadership cohorts have ranged, you know, on the average 54 people. So as Tam says, if year one and year two are at the same time, you know, that's basically around 100 people to sort of connect with. So there isn't necessarily the cross-pollination between the different programs, but within the cohort numbers. Now, for the XL program, we do not come on campus at the same time. Our residencies are back to back. So we have first year, the first week, the first 6 days, and our second year's the second week. Now we've had second years come into our first year program and talk. And then also we have, during the elective period, we have a community, an XL community Moodle site. And that's where it is a place that people can continue to keep connected and connect anew with new people. We have a leaders learning from leaders series where we invite different leaders who are actively out working in organizations to come and speak frank and authentically with us, so that there's more ways to connect that way as well. So there is different ways, but in terms of you know, a quick answer, as Tam answered, to across them, not necessarily, but within, possibly.
Thank you, Kathy and Tam. And that reminds me about if you're in this wandering stage, like you want to learn more about the programs, you're curious, you want to learn about what has been the experience of our students or alumni, our enrollment services always can facilitate that opportunity for you to connect with a current alumni to learn more about the program and their experience. So I just want to highlight that opportunity. There was another question about, like, I know the answer, but I will pass this over to you, Tam and Kathy. It's from Jazz, and the question is, like, which of these programs are the 13 months online program?
So none of them, in terms of the MA leadership program, are the 13-month online program. I think you might be thinking of the Masters in Global Leadership, which was sort of a new program of 13 months. These ones are 2-year programs, unless you're looking at potentially the diploma piece, which could potentially be a 13-month, I suppose. Or if you're looking at the graduate certificate, that could be either 3 months or 6 months. 3 months if you're in the MA leadership, or 6 months if you're in the XL program. Tam, is that your understanding? And I'll also throw it to any of our other colleagues after you, Tam.
No, that is my understanding as well, Kathy. No.
Thank you. We have a question from Paul. I know Rhonda provides some details, but I just wanted to share with everybody. What is the application process for the academic writing and critical thinking, and what is the frequency of that course offering? So the answer is you can apply through our Continuous Studies website, and basically you will need to create an account on the site separately, and then you can start your application. There is no any requirements to start that program. so you can start as soon as you want.
And I do appreciate that, Donna, thank you for recognizing that you're currently taking it, and it is really valuable. So thank you, Donna, for your chat. It's always nice to have somebody who's got direct experience to weigh in as well.
Thank you, Donna. We have a question from Nicole. During the residency, are we able to leave campus for the weekend? Is this a Monday to Friday program, or are we required to stay the full 2 weeks?
Well, that's an interesting question, Kath? I mean, technically, it's a Monday to Friday. That's when you'll be in session and in class. However, the residencies are called intensives for a reason. You will be, particularly in the first year of the program of the multi-sectoral and the health, you'll be working in team environments where you'll be working with an organization on a leadership challenge. And generally, some of your evenings and the weekends are invested in getting organized and working together as a team. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take breaks on the weekend and enjoy being at Royal Roads and getting out and doing something different, but to actually physically leave for those 2 days and not be in touch with your cohort would probably be difficult, because there is a lot of work and intensity that carries through those residencies. So you have that mutual responsibility to your fellow teammates. So chances are no, you can't really take off to the mainland for the weekend would be my advice. But Kathy, I appreciate your perspective as well. But I could barely get a few hours to myself on those weekends just because it's intense. And it's designed for that, for your learning, for a reason to maximize your learning potential.
Lovely, thanks, Tam. And if people are curious, so Tam is talking about the MA leadership, the multi-sectorial, the health cohort. And when she says, what do you think, Kath? Part of that is because I used to be the program head for our multi-sectorial MA leadership. And so Tam's absolutely right. It's 2 weeks. You're on campus and have programming from Monday to Friday. But there is, as she said, team connections and projects to work through over the weekend. So you definitely want to block that time out. For the XL program, it is 6 days. So it is Monday to Saturday. And so again, we're looking at like an 8:30 to 5:30 day, 6-day week, long week. And in the evening, those are places where you would look at doing some team assignments or even just some well-being, taking care of yourself too, as we keep reiterating it's intensive, and so that there is time to, or even as I feel like I'm talking myself, there are a lot of times there's a fire hose of information. So especially for people who need some of that time to themselves to be able to process it, you definitely want to allow yourself the space to do that. And that brings me up a question, I'm not sure if it was addressed yet today, as my own brain's been thinking, is just staying on campus. That often for the first year, although some people are from Victoria that come, people have found that staying on campus and being in that sort of milieu of leadership learning has been really, really useful. So again, you don't have to stay on campus, you don't have to stay in our accommodations, and yet again, from students, they found, especially for the first year, it's been really valuable to make those deeper connections and to stay with that learning and to really give yourself the permission to sort of reflect and dig deeper with sort of the content and the people and the assignments that you're working through.
When we are traveling across Canada and we are meeting people, sometimes we refer to the residency as an academic retreat. This is an opportunity for you to be immersed back in school. And as a recommendation, as most of the people that are taking this program are working full time, they have families, they have a lot of responsibilities. We always encourage people to connect with all your stakeholders and just let them know about this investment that you're doing in your life and how they can support you. So some of them might be just to have a quiet time during those 6 days or 2 weeks that you're in residency, maybe a longer and responding to their emails. If you are working full time, highly recommend to take that as a vacation time. Some organizations support their employees, providing that time for them to go back to school. So just explore all the opportunities available when you are coming on campus. And I think there was a question about, after you complete your application, how long does it take to hear back that the start date for the program you have applied for factor into the response time? And there's a question from Donna. Donna, once you complete and submit your application with all the documents, I would say when we don't have to assess your sorry, I'm missing the word right now. If you are not coming from abroad and we're doing the credential evaluation, it will take us between 3 to 6 weeks once you submit your application. At Royal Roads, we have something that is called rolling admission. So what it looks like is as soon as you complete your application, it goes into a line to be assessed. So if we are looking for the December intake and you submit all your application, maybe 3 weeks before the program starts, of course, we will give a priority because we know that program is coming up. So we have our internal system and we will try to make sure that we are getting response in a time manner. And I think those are all the questions. I think to elaborate a little more about what you were talking, Kathy, about if people can stay short-term on campus, yes, there are some dorms in our university. There's some executive, like more comfortable dorms. There's a few ones that you share your bathroom. I heard stories, I can't remember by the top of my head how many do we have like in-suites bathroom versus sharing the bathroom, but I heard sometimes there's a lot of people interested in the ensuite bathroom. Your names get put in a little hat and they pick names for those people that are interested versus the one that have to share bathrooms. I have never been in the residences myself, but I have heard that it's a great time for connecting with the people that you're working with. Some of the best memories come and a lot of the learning experience come from those people writing assignments together, helping each other, supporting, troubleshooting, going through challenges. So as Kathy said, even though if you're from Victoria, we highly recommend at least to do the first residency on campus, and then you can figure out if that was your best choice. You might have long nights, so if you just kind of go upstairs and fall asleep from the library, that sounds fantastic as well. So maybe not driving at night. There's one more question from Jazz. Would you please provide the contact detail of the person who can give me some advice if I'm the right candidate for these programs? Absolutely. So Rhonda White, so her email is rhonda.white@royalroads.ca. And you can also connect with us at learn.more@royalroads.ca. I know our faculty, our alumni, and some current students are also available. So Rhonda is more than happy to make those connections on the way. I think this is the end of our webinar. Kathy and Tam, anything else that you would like to add before we go?
Well, I just like to thank you all for coming, for thinking deeply about leadership. Without a doubt, as I said, I really truly believe the world needs every one of us to step up into our leadership. And so thank you for your interest. Thank you for your passion. And I appreciate even seeing some of the reasons for why doing leadership. So if there's anything that I can be of further to support, as Andrea said, Rhonda's your first point of contact, but I'm also more than happy to chat more too. So wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful day and look forward to when we do connect, whatever that looks like, and wishing you a fabulous day of leadership.
I concur, Kathy. Thank you. Everything Kathy just said, and thank you for the gift of your time today. It was a pleasure getting to see your faces. And as Kathy mentioned, the world, there's never, ever been a more important time for leaders to step forward in the complexity of the challenges that all of us are facing in today's society. It requires some deep thinking and some connectivity. And this program is not just a tagline when it says it's transformational. It really does teach you a lot about who you are and where you intersect with all of these things that are happening in the world and what you can do about it, and helps you maximize your agency around it. So I deeply encourage you to consider it. Kathy and I are here to assist in answering the questions you might have going forward, as well as Andrea. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.